Now let me ask you something. If you were building a content setup today, would you go for something that feels like a mini broadcast studio or something that basically replaces your entire desk? Because that's exactly what we're looking at here, the RODECaster Video and the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. And on paper, they look like they do the same thing, but once you actually start using them, they couldn't be more different. So stick around. Before we get into any features, you need to understand this one thing because it changes how you look at both of these devices. The ATEM Mini Pro ISO is a video switcher first. Everything about it is built around live production. It's designed for multi-camera setups, events, and more traditional broadcast style workflows. It feels like a mini control room sitting on your desk. The RODECaster Video takes a completely different approach. It's not just trying to switch video, it's trying to run your entire setup, and it handles your audio, your video, your streaming. It's basically the brain of your whole content workflow. So instead of adding something to your setup, like the ATEM does, the RODECaster is trying to replace most of it. And that's the difference that shows up in everything else. When you actually sit down and use these, they feel very different. The ATEM feels like equipment. You've got physical buttons, you've got your inputs, and then you've got software running on your computer that you'll almost definitely need to use to get the most out of it. It's powerful, but it expects you to spend a bit of time learning how everything works. Once it's set up properly, it's incredibly solid, but it's not something you just pick up and instantly understand. The RODECaster Video, on the other hand, is the opposite. It feels more like you're using a modern device. You've got a touch screen, a real clean interface, and everything is right there in front of you. You don't really feel like you're operating equipment. It just feels like you're creating. And honestly, that's probably the best way to describe it. The ATEM feels like a precision tool. The RODECaster feels like a creative tool. Audio is where things really start to separate, especially if you're a content creator. With the RODECaster Video, audio is a major focus. You're getting proper processing built in, EQ, compression, noise gates, and all the things you normally need extra gear for. You can plug your mic straight in and get really clean, usable audio without adding anything else to your setup. It basically replaces your audio chain. With the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro ISO, audio is there and it works, but it's not really the focus. You've got basic control, but you're not getting the same level of processing or flexibility. So in a lot of real-world setups, people end up adding an extra or external audio solutions anyway, and that's where things can start to get a bit more complicated. More gear, more cables, more things to manage. And while we're talking audio, there's one feature on the RODECaster Video that's easy to overlook, but once you understand it, it's kind of a game changer. It's called Video Follows Audio. And what it does is exactly what it sounds like. When someone starts speaking into a mic, the RODECaster can automatically switch to that camera assigned to the mic. So instead of manually cutting between the cameras, the system just does it for you. Now just think about that and what it means in real world use, right? So if you're recording a podcast or an interview or even a two-person YouTube setup, you don't have to sit there switching angles. You can just focus on the conversation and the video will follow whoever is talking. And this is something the ATEM doesn't really do natively. With the ATEM, you're either switching manually or setting up a more complex external workflow. So again, this ties back to the philosophy of each device. The ATEM gives you control. On the video side, this is where the Blackmagic really shows its strength. The ATEM Mini Pro ISO gives you 4 HDMI inputs, clean switching, multi-view, and really solid transitions. It's built for multi-camera workflows and it does that extremely well. The RODECaster, on the other hand, also handles video switching, but it clearly is focused on making that process simple and fast. It's not trying to be a full broadcast system, it's trying to make content creation easy. So you still get the functionality, but it's packaged in a way that is much more approachable. Now with ISO recording is where things get a little bit more nuanced, because both of these now support ISO recordings, but they approach it very differently. With the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, it's very straightforward. You've got 4 HDMI inputs and each one of them is recorded independently. On top of that, you also get your final program recording. So you end up with 4 ISO files and 1 final output. Everything is recorded at the same frame rate as your project. So if you're shooting at 50 or 60 frames per second, your ISO files match that perfectly. And the big advantage here is that it creates a DaVinci Resolve project file automatically. So when you open your edit, all your cuts are already there, everything is synced, and you can completely rebuild your video if you need to. It's a very post-production friendly workflow. Now with the RODECaster video, ISO recording is supported, so you can record your individual video sources as well as your program output. But the way it's designed is more flexible and also a bit less rigid compared to the ATEM. It's built around combining video recordings with multi-track audio recording, which is a big part of its value. But there is one important detail to be aware of. While the RODECaster can output higher frame rates, the ISO recordings themselves are typically limited to around 25 or 30 frames per second. So you might end up with a situation where your program recording is 50 or 60 frames per second, but your ISO files are at 30. For most types of content, like taking head videos, reviews, or podcasts, that's not really an issue. You probably won't even notice it. But if you're shooting fast movement or you're planning to heavily re-edit your footage in post, that mismatch in frame rates can matter. The other thing to clear up quickly is the idea that the RODECaster records more ISO channels. You might see people say it records 6 ISOs, but that's usually referring to a combination of video sources and independent audio tracks, not 6 separate ISO video feeds. So the real difference here isn't how many ISO files you get, it's how you want to use them. With the ATEM, you're recording everything so you can fix it later. With a RODECaster, you're aiming to get everything right in the moment and move faster. So who should actually buy each of these? If you're shooting multi-camera content regularly, doing client work, and you want your full flexibility in post-production, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO makes a lot of sense. It gives you control, consistency, and a real strong editing workflow. If you're a YouTuber or a solo creator or someone who just wants a clean, simple setup with great audio and less friction, the RODECaster video is probably the better choice. It simplifies your workflow and helps you move faster. At the end of the day, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO is the stronger video production tool, but the RODECaster video is the smarter tool for most content creators because it just removes friction. And the easier it is to hit record, the more consistent you're going to be. And there you have it. That's my comparison on these two very powerful devices, but I must be totally honest with you. I own the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and I've had it for a number of years now. I do not own a RODECaster video. Now, I do have a Streamer X, which is a 4K singular version of it. And one of the thoughts that I have that stopped me from purchasing the RODECaster video is that potentially I see the next evolution of these devices being 4K native per channel. So I'm saving my dollars until that particular day because I know, like the YOLO Box and other manufacturers, they must be on the way. So save your money, save your money. So if you're trying to decide between these two, drop a comment below and let me know what your setup looks like, and I'm happy to help you figure out which one of them makes sense for you. If this video helped you at all, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and until the next one, ciao for now.